Hello, I'm Ollie and this is Criminally, where I talk about crime, pulp, horror, that kind of thing. Today, all of those, plus bingo, plus a new feature coming to the channel. It's my weekly wrap-up. You'll notice I'm filming in the dining room again. My office is getting more and more untidy as I clear it in order to redecorate it, which will be happening in the next couple of weeks or so. So I'll probably be filming down here for a little while, and then when you see my office again, it will be transformed. So before I get into what I've been reading, two things to point out, because I don't want anyone to miss them. So the first one is yesterday's video launched the Gar bingo card. So do look out for that if you haven't seen it. So there are 14 things on the Gar bingo card that you can tick off during the month of August, alongside the 4 themed weeks that we're doing. And then the second thing is I am going to announce tentatively a new feature today, which was suggested by Wild Plagued by Visions, which is an Ask Criminoli feature. Where you can ask me questions about anything you want to. Probably, best to ask about books, because that's most likely what I'm going to know something about. But feel free to ask me anything else. So it's kind of a bit like a Q&A, I guess. But will be a Q&A that will just be like a couple of questions a week, and will run for as long as I keep getting questions. So we'll see. So if you'd like to ask a question for that, either leave it in the comments on this video or any video and just put Ask Criminoli at the start of it, so I know it's a question for that. Or if you'd rather ask your question anonymously, you can email me at criminoli@gmail.com. So email me there and say you want your question to be anonymous, and I can I can answer it on camera. So we'll see how this goes. I honestly don't know if this is going to work or not. If I get no questions at all, then clearly I won't do it. If I get a ton of questions, then there may be a bit of a backlog, and I may have to be a bit selective about which questions I answer. So yes, we shall see how that goes. But yeah, I wanted to announce that at the start of the video so people don't miss it. Right, so normal format for this then. So I'll talk about the books I've read this week, talk about what I'm likely to be reading in the week ahead, and then just give you a bit of an overview of what's been on the channel and what's coming on the channel, just so you don't miss anything. Right, let's get on with what I've been reading then. So I think when I filmed last week's video, I was still reading Slither by Edward Lee, which I subsequently finished. I think I said in the video last week it was kind of rubbish but kind of fun, and it continued very much in that vein. The end was completely nuts. I covered this plus the next book I'm going to talk about, plus an Andrew Needleman book which I'd read the week before, in a video that went up on Thursday, one of my Countdown to August videos, where I talked about slightly sexy horror books. So yeah, they were all very dumb but very entertaining. So yes, after that I read The Searing by John Coyne, which is a novel about a village that is plagued by a bunch of children dying, and B, a bunch of women having unexplained orgasms. So it was very silly, but like Slither, very, very entertaining indeed. So I did enjoy that, and as I say, it was covered in the video that I've just talked about. I then read something completely different, so another horror book, far more serious, far more horrible, and lingeringly disturbing. So Zombie by Joyce Carrallot, which I am definitely going to do a review of at some point. I just need to figure out when I can fit it in, because I've got a few things I want to do reviews of. So this is a horror novel from, I think, the early 2000s. I have to check that. Oh no, 1995. So a horror novel from 1995, written from the perspective of a serial killer, and it is really grim. And really convincing. You really do feel like you're in the brain of someone who is deeply, deeply damaged. So yeah, a really horrific but very gripping book. So yeah, look out for a full review of that in the next week or so, hopefully. After that, I finished reading a book I'd started, so I think I'd read about the first 100 pages or so of it, and that was Heaven by V.C. Andrews, the first of the Casteel saga. So this was part of a read-along hosted by Kelly Hooked on Books, so she's doing a V.C. Andrews kind of reading group. So it was really trashy but quite entertaining. So it's about an extremely poor family in America somewhere, I think it was West Virginia, and basically the father, in order to raise money, starts selling off the children. So it's told from the perspective of Herron, who's one of the kids, and it's just about, you know, basically what happens to the family and her trying to get the family back together and all sorts of different stuff going on. Some fantastic characters. There's this kind of stepmother character who appears about halfway through the book, called Kitty, who was just brilliant, a fantastically over the top VC Andrews character. So yeah, it was very, very trashy, very VC Andrews, lots of slightly troubling content, but quite entertaining, I have to say. After that I was thinking, well, that was pretty trashy and quite troubling in places. Boy, did I not know what I was letting myself in for when I started reading Gore Vidal's Caligula by William Howard. So this was suggested by Troy Trenup, who's a subscriber, as a definitely trashy book. So the novelisation of the famously over budget and very trashy high budget porn movie with loads of stars in it, Caligula. I will do a full review of this. I've got no idea how I'm going to do that given some of the content in this book, but I will do a full review of this, and that will be my final countdown to Garb August video, which will go up on Thursday. So boy, for a fairly slim book, does this book pack a lot of sleaze in. It was just mind-bogglingly sleazy and horrible. So yes, I will talk more about it in a review, which I'm going to try and film today. But like I say, God knows how I'm going to cover it. Okay, and then I read. So after that, I felt like I needed to disinfect my brain after reading. After three pretty disturbing books on the trot. So Zombie, then Heaven, then Caligula. So I thought I had said I was going to read Pride and Prejudice this month, as it's Jane Austen July. So I started reading Pride and Prejudice in the hope that would sort of cleanse my soul. And boy, was it boring. So apologies if you're a Jane Austen fan. I know there are many. Clearly she's a very highly respected author, and Pride and Prejudice is a much loved book. But honestly, I'd managed about 10 or 11 chapters, and it was literally just people visiting each other in their big houses and talking to each other. It was not my cup of tea at all, to put it mildly. So I DNF Pride and Prejudice. Maybe I'll go back to it one day. I'm not sure. I thought I'd go back to some sleazy trash, because maybe that would get my reading mojo going again. So I started reading The Gynecologist by Leslie Herron, which I'm definitely going to go back to at some point, but I just couldn't really get into it. But it's definitely trashy. So I thought maybe, at that point, I was thinking, well, maybe I need to read something completely different. It was on, so the two DNFs, so Pride and Prejudice and The Gynecologist, were both during the heat wave that we had in the UK at the start of this week, so kind of Monday and Tuesday, when it was just so oppressively hot, my brain just wasn't functioning at all. So I thought I need something easy to read, but let's try something completely different. And given that I'm only going to be reading trash in August, let's try something non-trashy. So Gina Stanier had mentioned on her channel a series of books called the Mrs Polifact Series, which are about a widow who's kind of in her later years, who decides to become a spy. And I thought they sounded like a lot of fun. So I picked up the first one of those, which is The Unexpected Mrs Polifax, on Kindle because it was cheap, written by an author called Dorothy Gilman, who I'd never heard of before. So I think the first books were written in the 60s, but the series did continue for a while, and it was really fun. It was really entertaining. So as I said, the setup is there's this woman. She's in her later years. She's just lost her husband. Her children are grown. She decides she wants to try something new. She's got a bit of freedom in her life again. So she decides she wants to become a spy. So she goes to the CIA, and there's a bit of a mix-up, and they end up recruiting her as a spy, and she goes to Albania. No, she goes to Mexico. That's right. She goes to Mexico initially to try and pick up some microfilm from an agent there, and the plot develops. She ends up getting captured by the Soviets and taken to Albania. It was just really, really fun. So, there's lots of bits of her using her, you know, her kind of with the wisdom she's gained over the years, and you know, playing on her little old lady image to get round people, and you know, teaming up with other spies and things like that. It was pure entertainment. I really thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was just the sort of cozy read that I needed. So that was great fun. After that, I read something which could not have been more difficult. So again, more different. So again, this is something that was recommended by a subscriber. So again, Troy Treadup recommended this. So this is a book called The Laws of the Skies by Gregoire Courtois. I may well be pronouncing that name incorrectly. So as you might have guessed from the name, it's a French book. Have been translated into English. It's very short. It's like less than 150 pages. I read it in, I think, probably about 2.5 hours. I started it last night, finished it this morning. God, what a book. It's just unbelievably horrific. Definitely one of the more disturbing books I've read recently. I will be doing a review of it as well, because it really left an impression on me. I mean, I only finished it a couple of hours ago, but I can't stop thinking about it. So very simply, it's a book about a school trip in France. So a group of 6-year-old kids and their teacher and a couple of adult helpers go for a night camping in the woods, and everybody dies. And the fact that everybody dies is you know, flagged up right at the start of the book, and you know, basically that's it. It was just mind-blowingly. I mean, the ending in particular was just staggering. So yes, I need to process my thoughts on it a bit, and then I will do a full review of it. But yeah, it was quite a book. I mean, I thought that one of the reviews I did in the last week was for a Derek Raymond book. He Died with His Eyes Open. I thought that was bleak. This was just as bleak in a different kind of way, but God, it was something. So yeah, look out for my review of that coming soon. So in the week ahead, obviously we're very close to the beginning of August now. I am going to go back to the Gynecologist and try and finish that. And then I'm also intending to read the next 3 books in the Factory series, which is by Derek Raymond, and He Died with His Eyes Open, which I just talked about, is the first book in the series. So I think there's 5 books in the series overall. The one that is supposed to be like the pinnacle of the series, if you like, in terms of just sheer bleak disgustingness, is this one, I Was Dora Suarez. So apparently you don't need to read them in order, but I'm funny like that, so I'm going to. So the next one is The Devil's Home on Leave, and then we have How the Dead Live, and then I Was Dora Suarez. So yeah, I'm going to read, I think, all 3 of those this week, if I can take that much agony. So yeah, we'll see how I get on. So in terms of channel stuff then, so my Sunday Bollocks video in the week just gone was about the question really, are there too many books? So kind of a response to videos that have been going around about, can you own too many books? So I was just asking, generally speaking, are there too many books? On Monday then I did the pet peeves kind of video, which again has been doing the rounds on YouTube. So talking about my reading pet peeves. On Tuesday I did the BookTube cat tag. On Wednesday I did a small book haul. On Thursday I did that review of various sexy trashy books, which I talked about, so sexy horror, and then also the review of He Died with His Eyes Open by Derek Raymond. And then on Friday I launched the August Bingo card, as I said at the start of the video. So yeah, if you're planning to do August and you want to add a little something extra, then you can play along with the bingo game as well and see how many of the squares on the bingo card you can tick off. So yeah, look for that video. If that sounds interesting to you, look out for that video for more information, and a copy of the bingo card I put up in the community tab, so people can grab it from there should they want to. So in the week ahead, Sunday Bollocks I think is going to be about lending books to people this week and why that's a bad thing. On Monday I'm going to be launching the August tag, So we're going to be doing a Garborgus book tag, so I will be launching that on Monday. On Tuesday, I think I'm going to do, well, I'll definitely do a tag. I think I'm probably going to do the Stranger Things tag that was created by Brad Proctor. I've got a bunch of different tags that I've been tagged in, so I'm likely to get behind with my tags. So if you've tagged me in something recently, apologies. I am intending to get to all of them, but I got tagged in about 4 things in a week, so it's going to take me a little while. On Wednesday, so as trailed at the start of the video, I'm launching this new Ask Criminoli section where you can ask me a question about books or anything else that takes your fancy. So if if you've got problems in your family life or your love life, and you want my opinion, feel free to ask. I doubt you do, but hey, whatever. And as I said, you can ask questions anonymously via email. So if you want to email me at criminoli@gmail.com, and state in the email that you want to ask the question anonymously, then happy to do that too. On Thursday, I'll have my reviews of Caligula and one of the very disturbing books that I've read this week. So either The Laws of the Skies or Zombie. I haven't quite figured out which one. And then on Friday, I'm going to do my Garborgus TBR. So yeah, I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to be reading for Garborgus. As you may have gathered, if you've been watching the channel recently, I've bought a lot of trash books recently, including yesterday a job lot of 39 NASCAR romances, which is going to be arriving sometime early next week, I expect. So yeah, we'll see what those are like. So yeah, I don't really know what I'm going to be reading in Garborgus. I've got a huge box of books upstairs, but I will try and pick out some for each of the different weeks, and I'll talk about those on Friday. Okay, time for that point in the video where I pull a book from the shelves. So it's not really shelves at the moment, it's boxes, because I've boxed up pretty much all of my books. But here's a book from a box. So it is Trauma 2022, The Crucifixion Squad by Peter Beer. So this is part of a series. There were, I think, 3 books in the series. The first one is Urban Prey. I can never remember what the third one's called. And they were published so this came out in 1984. So I read this probably not that long after it came out. So probably when I was like 12 or 13. And then subsequently read the first book in the series, Urban Prey, and reread Urban Prey in 2020. Because I thought that would be amusing. It turns out that the 2020 that's in these books is pretty damn bleak, but maybe not quite as bleak as actual 2020 was. Certainly very different. So it's kind of a dystopian future where England is at war with, I can't even remember which other countries, and everyone's very poor and everything's very run down. And the main character is this character called BK. Who's just like a bit of a petty criminal and a bit of a chancer, and it's just about the scrapes he gets into, really. And in this one, there's this gang of people going around crucifying people, and BK is trying to avoid getting crucified, basically. But it's very grim, very entertaining. 12 or 13-year-old me absolutely loved it, for all the bad language and explicit gore. So yeah, they're interesting books, definitely of their time. But quite entertaining. Okay, that's the weekly wrap up for this week. So yeah, let me know if you've read any of the books I talked about. If you've got a question you want to ask me for Ask Criminoli, then as I say, leave it in the comments or email me. But yeah, aside from that, hope you're safe and well, hope you're reading good stuff, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Cheerio.